There comes a sacred moment in every life when what once felt distant begins to draw near, when the invisible becomes undeniable, and the shift that once seemed impossible starts to unfold quietly in your favor. You may not see the full picture yet, but something deep within you can already feel it, that inner knowing that whispers, "It has begun." The change didn't start when circumstances moved. It began when you did, when your awareness tilted from fear to faith, from waiting to knowing. Everything visible follows the unseen movement of your inner state. Long before the blessing arrives at your door, it has already been dispatched by your belief. The outer world is just a mirror. What you now see shifting around you is a reflection of what has shifted within you. That is the secret. The power that rearranges your world does not lie in effort or struggle, but in consciousness. The moment you assume the feeling of your desire fulfilled, a new reality is born. You are not hoping for change, you are embodying it. The universe has already begun its rearrangement, aligning people, places, and timing to deliver what you've believed. What once resisted you is now working for you. Every closed door was not rejection, but redirection. Every delay was divine synchronization. Do not judge by appearances. The surface may still look still, but beneath it, currents of favor are already in motion. The universe is rearranging itself to honor your new vibration. You've stepped into alignment, and now life must follow. Feel it now, as though everything has already turned. Let your inner conversation echo gratitude, not waiting. Speak as one who already stands in answered prayer. When you declare, "I am favored," the world reshapes itself to mirror your declaration. The evidence may appear slowly, but the transformation is immediate. The unseen has already shifted. The change has already begun. Every moment you hold faith, you accelerate its unfolding. So stand firm, live as though the promise is already fulfilled, because it is. The universe never forgets a belief truly felt. The shift is here, and it is working for you. You are stepping into a chapter where what once resisted now assists, where what once delayed now delivers. You are not entering the season of change. You are the change. Everything is shifting in your favor, and the movement has already started. The unseen realm moves first. Before anything ever appears in your life, it is first conceived in the invisible, in thought, in imagination, in belief. Every transformation, every answered prayer, every breakthrough begins as a silent vibration in the unseen. It is the unseen that governs the seen, the invisible blueprint that dictates the physical form. What the mind consistently holds, the world inevitably reflects. So when we talk about a shift happening in your favor, we are not speaking of something that starts with outer evidence. It begins within you, in your consciousness, in your inner atmosphere, in the unseen movements of faith. You must understand that everything physical is a delayed echo of what has already occurred in the invisible realm. The seed is planted in imagination, watered by emotion, and nourished by belief until it takes form. That is why when you choose to change your thoughts, you are not engaging in wishful thinking, you are engaging in creation itself. The moment you assume something to be true and feel it deeply, you set unseen forces in motion. Circumstances, people, and opportunities begin to rearrange themselves to reflect that new inner state. It may seem invisible, but something is already shifting beyond the surface. Most people wait for proof before they believe. They look for visible signs before giving thanks. But true power lies in reversing the order, in believing before seeing. When you hold an inner knowing, when you see the unseen with the eyes of faith, the outer world must eventually comply. Reality is nothing but a projection of consciousness, and consciousness moves first. You cannot experience what you have not first accepted within. So if life seems quiet right now, do not mistake stillness for inactivity. Beneath the silence, divine orchestration is already at work. The unseen realm is arranging circumstances in your favor. Every prayer, every word of faith, every act of gratitude is forming the unseen pattern that will soon become your visible experience. The delay you perceive is not denial, it is gestation. The invisible is ripening into the visible, and the shift that began in silence will soon speak loudly through manifestation. That is why it is essential to guard your imagination and your inner dialogue. The unseen realm responds not to what you hope for, but to what you feel as real. If you dwell in fear, fear takes form. If you dwell in gratitude, gratitude multiplies. You are constantly sowing seeds into the unseen with your thoughts and emotions. Every word, every assumption is a creative act. So align yourself with what you wish to experience. See it, feel it, and know that it is already done. Everything you desire is already alive in the unseen, waiting for your belief to give it shape. When you align your inner world with faith, the unseen begins to move. And once it moves, the visible world must follow. The shift is already underway, even if your eyes have not yet caught up. Trust the unseen, for it is always the first to move in your favor. Assumption precedes manifestation. Everything that unfolds in your external world is born first in the inner sanctuary of belief. Life is not responding to what you want, but to what you assume to be true about yourself and your reality. Your assumptions, those quiet, consistent inner convictions, are the architects of your experience. Before anything can appear in the physical, it must first be accepted as true in the invisible theater of your mind. The outer world simply mirrors back the images you have already embraced within. When you assume something, you give it permission to exist. Assumption is not idle wishing or passive hope. It is the deliberate act of acceptance. It is the decision to see the end as already accomplished, to feel the fulfillment before it arrives. Every assumption, when sustained, hardens into fact. The conditions of your life, the people you meet, the opportunities you encounter, all are drawn into alignment with the vibration of your inner conviction. You are the living center of creation, and what you accept as real within you becomes the pattern that the world must reproduce. Many people believe that change begins with effort, with action, strategy, or circumstance. But the true seed of transformation is internal. When you shift your assumption, you shift your entire world. You can pray, visualize, and speak affirmations endlessly, but if your underlying assumption remains one of lack or doubt, nothing will change. The universe responds to your deepest knowing, not to your shallow desires. It is your inner yes that summons the visible proof. Every great manifestation begins with a moment of inner surrender, the instant you stop striving and start knowing. You assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, And from that state, everything begins to rearrange. The unseen responds to your vibration, not your words. You do not wait for evidence. You live from the awareness that it is already done. And in time, the physical world bends to match that certainty. The law is unfailing. What you assume, you become. This assumption is not pretending, it is perceiving from the end. You shift your focus from how things appear to how they are in the unseen. When you occupy the feeling of the fulfilled desire, you broadcast a new frequency, and life echoes it back as circumstance. The moment you believe you are favored, life brings favor. When you assume abundance, abundance begins to flow. When you accept healing, wholeness manifests. The outer world has no choice but to yield to the power of your inner conviction. So guard what you assume about yourself. Every self-concept carries its own destiny. The world does not test your worth, it reflects your belief. You are always creating, not by force, but by assumption. Accept within what you desire without, and it must appear. This is the sacred rhythm of creation. Assumption first, manifestation second. Believe it is done, and the world will rise to prove you right. The old reality is dissolving. What you once saw as delay, disappointment, or even denial was never rejection from life, it was divine rearrangement. The universe has been quietly dismantling what no longer serves your growth, removing the weights that cannot travel with you into your next season. What felt like loss was not punishment, it was preparation. The old patterns, relationships, and opportunities that once fit perfectly are now being released because they no longer match the vibration of who you are becoming. You are evolving, and as you ascend in awareness, everything that cannot sustain your higher purpose begins to fade. This process can feel uncomfortable because the human mind clings to the familiar even when it no longer nourishes the soul. You may look at what's leaving and wonder why, but the unseen intelligence guiding your path knows exactly what it's doing. Every closed door, every unexpected detour, every ending is a part of the sacred transition. The old reality is not being taken from you, it is dissolving because you have outgrown it. The shift is not punishment, but promotion. Life is making room for something higher, greater, and more aligned with your destiny. Think of it like the changing of seasons. Winter must release its grip before spring can bloom. The ground that once seemed barren is preparing to bring forth new life. Similarly, your old experiences, identities, and attachments are melting away so the new can take root. The people who walked away, the opportunities that disappeared, the dreams that didn't unfold as you planned, all of them were part of an old frequency. You cannot carry old energy into a new dimension of purpose. The divine rearrangement is not chaotic, it is precise. The universe never subtracts without intention. What appears to be the breaking down is actually the building up. Behind every ending is a hidden beginning, and behind every disappointment is a doorway to alignment. The old must fall away so that the new can stand. And though it may feel uncertain, trust that this is the necessary clearing before the breakthrough. The unseen realm has already completed what your eyes have yet to see. In truth, the old reality is not dying. It's transforming. You are stepping out of limitation, fear, and repetition into expansion, faith, and flow. The pieces of your life are not falling apart, they are falling into place. Every delay was divine timing, ensuring that what is meant for you arrives when you are ready to hold it. Nothing that belongs to your higher purpose can ever be lost. So let the old dissolve with gratitude. Bless what was, but release it freely. The rearrangement you are witnessing is sacred. It is the universe aligning your life with your truest self. The old is fading not because something went wrong, but because something right is finally unfolding. The past is closing gently, and the new has already begun to rise in its place. Faith is not waiting, it is knowing. It is not the passive hope that something might happen someday. It is the unshakable awareness that it already has. True faith stands in the fulfillment before it appears. It does not plead or beg, it rests. It speaks from the end, not toward it. Faith is the quiet confidence that creation has already responded to your inner conviction, even if your senses have not yet caught up. You do not wait for the shift, you stand in it. You feel the new reality as real, and the universe cannot resist responding to that certainty. Waiting implies distance. It suggests that what you desire is somewhere else, sometime later, dependent on external factors. But faith erases distance. It bridges the unseen and the seen by claiming the end as now. When you truly believe, you no longer look for signs, you become the sign. You live, speak, and move as though your prayer has already been answered. You act from fulfillment, not toward it. This is the creative power of faith. It summons the invisible into visibility. When you stand in faith, you stand in the finished work. You stop trying to make things happen and begin allowing them to unfold. You stop measuring progress by appearances and start measuring it by inner peace. Faith knows that everything is already working together in perfect order, even when the outer world still appears unchanged. The shift has already begun in the unseen. The moment you assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, the laws of creation are set in motion. From that point onward, all of life begins to move in harmony with your belief. Faith is the language of the unseen. It is not something you turn on and off depending on your mood or circumstances. It is a state of being. To walk in faith is to dwell continually in the awareness that what you desire is already yours. It's not about forcing yourself to believe, it's about resting in knowing. You feel the reality inwardly so deeply that the outer world has no choice but to mirror it. Creation obeys the vibration of conviction, not the noise of doubt. When you say, "I know it is done," you activate a frequency that calls forth alignment. People, opportunities, and events begin to appear as if by coincidence, but it is not coincidence. It is creation responding to your inner knowing. The path unfolds naturally because you are no longer pushing against life. You are flowing with it. You are walking in the finished state, and the finished state always reveals itself in perfect time. Faith is not waiting for the evidence. Faith is the evidence. It is the inner realization that compels outer manifestation. When you feel the end as real, creation has no choice but to obey. You do not chase what is already yours, you simply align with it. The moment you know it in spirit, you claim it in reality. That is the power of faith. It does not wait, it knows. Your inner dialogue builds the future. Every thought you think, every word you whisper in the silence of your mind is a seed planted in the soil of consciousness. You are never merely thinking, you are creating. The conversations you hold within yourself are blueprints that shape the structure of your outer world. Long before circumstances change, your self-talk determines their direction. Every time you rehearse fear, you water the roots of doubt. Every time you speak faith, you summon alignment. Life does not respond to what you want. It responds to what you continuously declare to be true within. Your inner speech is the silent architect of destiny. Even when you say nothing aloud, you are always speaking inwardly, to yourself, to your circumstances, and to the unseen forces shaping your life. The tone of that inner conversation determines whether your future blooms or withers. You cannot speak defeat and expect victory. You cannot dwell in lack and attract abundance. Every inner word carries creative power. The moment you accept an idea as real and repeat it inwardly, it begins to take form in your outer experience. Many people believe they are victims of circumstance, but in truth, they are victims of their own inner dialogue. The mind is constantly recording and replaying stories of who you are, what you deserve, and what is possible for you. If you do not take control of that conversation, it will default to old beliefs and past memories. But the moment you begin to speak consciously within, affirming what you desire as though it is already done, you rewrite the script of your future. The world must echo the frequency of your most dominant inner dialogue. To speak as if it's done is not to pretend, it is to create. When you declare within yourself, I am favored, I am chosen, everything is working for me. You activate the law of assumption. You align your inner state with the reality you wish to see. The universe, being obedient to the vibration of certainty, begins to rearrange everything to match that truth. Outer change is not a matter of effort, but of consistency. Keep your inner words faithful to your desired outcome, and soon your life will begin to echo them back to you. You know, your inner dialogue is a sacred instrument, the language through which you speak with creation itself. Every affirmation, every inner vision, every quiet word of gratitude becomes a living seed destined to sprout in time. You need not force the growth. You need only guard the garden. Speak life where you once spoke lack. Speak victory where you once rehearsed defeat. Speak peace where you once repeated fear. Life mirrors the tone of your conversation. So pay attention to what you say when no one is listening, for that is the language creation obeys. Speak as if it is done, and soon it will be. Your inner dialogue is not a reflection of the world. It is the command that shapes it. You have entered the season of visible transformation. What was once only a whisper in your spirit, what was once held quietly in the secret place of belief, is now beginning to take form before your eyes. The prayers you once spoke in faith are now gathering substance. The visions you once carried in silence are stepping into visibility. This is not the moment of waiting. This is the moment of unfolding. What began in the invisible realm is now revealing itself through tangible signs, divine alignments, and undeniable breakthroughs. The shift is not coming, it has already begun. For so long, you may have walked through seasons of stillness, wondering if anything was truly changing. It seemed as if heaven was silent and progress distant. But what you could not see was the intricate orchestration taking place beneath the surface. Every quiet act of faith, every moment of surrender, every inner declaration was shaping the unseen foundation of your new reality. Now that hidden work is rising to the surface. What was once concealed is now being revealed. The time of preparation is complete. Manifestation is here. Transformation never announces itself loudly in the beginning. It begins subtly, like the first rays of dawn before sunrise. The atmosphere starts to shift. Conversations change. Opportunities begin to appear. You sense momentum even before you see results. That's how divine timing works. It reveals itself in stages, ensuring that when the blessing arrives, you are ready to sustain it. You are no longer waiting for the right moment. You are the right moment. The world around you is adjusting to match who you have become internally. This is the season where evidence will follow belief. The doors that once seemed sealed are now unlocking effortlessly. The relationships, resources, and opportunities aligned with your higher purpose are finding you. You no longer have to chase what belongs to you. It is drawn to your vibration. The universe is mirroring your inner transformation by rearranging everything in your favor. What once resisted you now assists you because you have changed your inner frequency. You are no longer the person who doubted, you are the one who knows. The beauty of this season is that it carries both reward and responsibility. You are called not just to receive, but to embody the manifestation. Walk as though the promise has already been fulfilled. Speak with the authority of one who has seen the invisible and now watches it unfold. Gratitude is your posture. Faith is your atmosphere. What was once a distant dream is now a living reality because you dared to believe when nothing yet appeared. The shift is already in motion. The unseen work has broken through the surface, and the visible world is catching up with what your spirit has long known. You are standing in the evidence of answered prayer. The transformation is not ahead of you, it is here, alive, unfolding and accelerating in your favor. The shift is not coming, it has begun. Everything that once seemed distant is now drawing near. You have stepped into a divine flow, where what you once imagined is becoming visible, where what you once hoped for is taking form. The unseen has moved, and the visible is following. Every delay has served a purpose. Every closed door has redirected you toward alignment, and every silent season has built the strength required for your moment of manifestation. You are not waiting for change, you are living in it. This is the hour to walk with confidence, to speak with conviction, and to live as though the promise is already fulfilled. Because it is. The shift is not a future event, it is your present reality. The old has dissolved, the new has begun, and everything is aligning in your favor. Stand in gratitude, not anticipation. Speak life, not lack. Believe not because you hope to see, but because you already know. The unseen realm has already completed the work, and the evidence is now unfolding before you. Hold fast to your vision, protect your faith, and remember that what you feel, think, and declare within yourself becomes the script your reality must perform. You are the author of your new chapter, and creation is obeying your faith-filled direction. Walk in joy, walk in peace, and know that everything is working for your highest good. The change is here, and it carries your name. Thank you for listening. May you continue to walk in faith, speak with power, and live in the awareness that the shift has already begun, and it is working in your favor. There is a great secret that few understand. Your reactions shape your reality. You have been told that circumstances control you, that the actions of others dictate your emotions, but I say to you, nothing has power over you unless you give it power. The man who remains unmoved, unaffected, stands at the helm of creation. Act as if nothing affects you, and soon nothing will. You may ask, how can I ignore what is happening around me? How can I remain still when life presents challenge? The answer is simple. You must choose your reality from within. If you accept defeat, you will see it everywhere. But if you walk through life as if you are untouched by doubt, fear, or limitation, the world will reflect that truth back to you. Consider this. When you remain calm in the face of adversity, you shift the energy of the situation. Problems that once appeared overwhelming shrink before your unwavering state of mind. The storm rages, yet the mountain remains still. Be that mountain. Do not chase, do not beg, do not react. When you refuse to engage with what no longer serves you, it disappears. The moment you stop seeking validation, the world rushes to validate you. Hold fast to your vision. Walk with the quiet assurance that what you desire is already yours. The more unaffected you are, the faster your reality will transform. For it is not your effort but your assumption that dictates your life. The world you see before you is nothing more than a reflection of your inner state. Every experience, every encounter, and every so-called coincidence is simply an echo of what you have accepted as true within yourself. Most people live under the illusion that life happens to them, that they are at the mercy of external forces, be it other people, circumstances, or fate. But this is not so. The world does not move first, you do. The world is a mirror, reflecting back to you the assumptions you hold, the beliefs you cultivate, and the emotions you entertain. If you walk through life believing that you are unworthy, unnoticed, or powerless, the world will only confirm it. If you expect rejection, you will encounter it. If you anticipate struggle, you will experience it. This is not because the world is cruel, but because it is obedient. It conforms to the state of consciousness you occupy, responding precisely to what you assume to be true about yourself and life. Now consider the opposite. If you hold within yourself the quiet confidence that you are loved, valued, and respected, the world cannot help but mirror it back to you. If you carry the conviction that all things work in your favor, that success follows you naturally, then life will unfold in a way that aligns with that belief. You do not have to chase, beg, or fight to change the world. You only need to shift the reality you accept within. This is why remaining unmoved is so powerful. When you refuse to be swayed by circumstances, when you do not react with fear or doubt, you send a clear message to the universe. I am secure in my truth. And because the world is but a reflection, it will align with your inner stability. Problems that once seemed overwhelming will dissolve. Situations that appeared unfavorable will shift, and opportunities will arise effortlessly, all because you maintained your inner position. Think of a stormy sea. If you are tossed around by every wave, you will struggle endlessly. But if you are like the ocean floor, still, unmoved, unaffected, then the turbulence above cannot disturb you. This is the secret to mastering life. It is not about controlling the outside world. It is about mastering your inner world so completely that the external world has no choice but to rearrange itself accordingly. Those who react emotionally to every challenge remain trapped in a cycle of resistance. They see an obstacle, they panic, and their very reaction reinforces the problem. But the one who remains calm, who refuses to be shaken, transcends the need for struggle. When you do not react to negativity, it loses its grip on you. When you refuse to give power to unwanted circumstances, they fade away. This is not to say you must suppress your emotions or deny your feelings. Rather, it is an invitation to recognize that your feelings are guides, not rulers. You can feel discomfort without identifying with it. You can acknowledge difficulties without letting them define you. And most importantly, you can hold firm to the belief that no matter what appears before you, your inner world remains unshaken. When you understand this, life becomes effortless. You no longer fight to change things. You simply assume the position of the one who has already won. And as you do, the world bends in your favor. The people around you treat you differently. Opportunities present themselves, and the things you once chased begin to chase you. This is not magic. It is the natural law of consciousness. If you wish to change your world, do not look outward, look within. Assume the feeling of your desired reality and do not waver, no matter what appears. Remain unmoved, and the world will reshape itself to match your conviction. This is how you create the life you desire. Detachment is the key to true power. It is not indifference, nor is it a lack of care. Rather, it is the quiet assurance that no matter what appears before you, your inner state remains unshaken. It is the understanding that external circumstances do not dictate your reality. You do. Those who master detachment master life itself, for they are no longer swayed by fleeting appearances, temporary setbacks, or the emotions of others. Most people live in a constant state of reaction. They allow circumstances to determine their mood, their beliefs, and their sense of self-worth. If things go well, they feel happy. If things go wrong, they crumble. But to live this way is to surrender all power to the external world. It is to be at the mercy of forces outside of oneself, to be controlled by the shifting tides of life rather than directing them. Yet the moment you step back and refuse to be emotionally controlled by what happens outside of you, everything changes. Detachment does not mean disengagement. It means standing in the awareness that you are greater than any situation. It means refusing to be swayed by appearances, because you know that appearances are temporary, but your inner state is eternal. Imagine someone who reacts emotionally to every difficulty. When they are rejected, they feel unworthy. When they face an obstacle, they believe they are doomed to fail. Each reaction only reinforces the state they wish to escape. In their desperation to change things, they actually push their desires further away. Why? Because desperation is rooted in attachment, and attachment is a form of fear. The fear that one will not receive what they desire. The fear that things will not go as planned. And what does fear create? More of itself. Now consider the one who is detached. This person understands that reality conforms to their inner state, not the other way around. When a situation arises, they do not panic. If something appears unfavorable, they do not react with frustration or doubt. Instead, they remain calm, knowing that their inner conviction is stronger than any outer condition. They do not chase, they do not beg, and they do not grasp at things in fear of losing them. Because of this, life flows effortlessly toward them. The paradox of detachment is that the more you let go, the more you receive. When you stop reacting, when you stop seeking, when you stop trying to force outcomes, things begin to align in your favor. Why? Because detachment signals trust. It is a declaration that you already know everything is unfolding perfectly, even if appearances suggest otherwise. It is the ultimate act of faith. When you stop reacting to appearances, you reclaim your power to shape them. Your emotions are not meant to control you. They are meant to be controlled by you. The strongest people are not those who dominate others, but those who have mastered themselves. They do not need to prove anything to anyone. They do not need constant reassurance. They walk through life with a quiet certainty, unbothered by the temporary ups and downs of the world. This does not mean they are cold or unfeeling. On the contrary, they experience life deeply, but they do not allow emotions to dictate their choices. They can love without attachment, pursue their goals without desperation, and face challenges without fear. And because they are not attached to any particular outcome, they remain open to receiving even greater possibilities. This is the strength of detachment. It frees you from the illusion of control while placing you in the seat of true power. It allows you to move through life with ease, no longer enslaved by circumstances, but in command of them. When you stop reacting, you start creating. And when you start creating, you shape a reality that bends to your will. The world around you is ever-changing, unpredictable, and often chaotic. Circumstances rise and fall, people come and go, opportunities appear and disappear. Yet amidst all of this, there is one constant: your inner world. The way you see yourself, the way you define yourself, and the assumptions you hold about life shape the reality you experience. What happens outside of you is irrelevant to who you are within, unless you decide to make it otherwise. Most people live as though they are at the mercy of circumstances. If things go well, they feel confident. If things go wrong, they shrink in despair. They allow their sense of identity to be dictated by temporary conditions, not realizing that they have the power to rise above them. But this is a mistake. Circumstances do not define you. Your inner state does. If you truly understand this, you will no longer react to life as if it is something happening to you. Instead, you will recognize that life is simply responding to you. The secret is to act as if you are already victorious, not to wait for success before feeling successful, not to wait for love before feeling loved, not to wait for abundance before feeling abundant. Most people believe they must first see the evidence before they can believe in the outcome, but this is backwards. The truth is that life mirrors your assumptions. It is only when you assume victory internally that the world begins to reflect it externally. Imagine two people facing the same challenge. One sees it as an obstacle, proof that they are unlucky or incapable. The other sees it as an opportunity, a temporary event that cannot shake their inner knowing. Both experience the same situation, yet their realities unfold in completely different ways. The first person remains stuck, defeated by circumstances. The second moves forward effortlessly, unaffected by setbacks. The difference is not in the circumstance itself, but in the perception of it. When you assume the feeling of victory, the world adjusts to match your inner conviction. If you walk through life believing that you are already the person you wish to become, then opportunities will arise, people will treat you differently, and events will align to confirm your belief. This is not because the world is randomly kind to some and not others, but because the world is a mirror. It reflects back to you exactly what you believe to be true about yourself. This is why acting as if is so powerful. When you carry yourself with the quiet confidence of someone who has already won, your energy shifts. You stop chasing, you stop doubting, and you stop reacting to temporary appearances. Instead, you move through life with certainty, knowing that everything is already unfolding in your favor. And because you are no longer reacting to circumstances, circumstances begin to change in ways that serve you. Many people wait for external validation before they believe in themselves. They wait for wealth before feeling abundant, for love before feeling worthy, for success before feeling accomplished. But those who understand the truth do the opposite. They assume the feeling first, knowing that the outer world must eventually conform. It is never the circumstance. When you understand this, life becomes effortless. You are no longer shaken by delays, disappointments, or temporary struggles. You no longer question whether things are working out for you because you already know they are. Your inner state remains unmoved, and because of this, the world around you must shift to reflect your certainty. You do not have to wait for circumstances to change before you change your assumption. You do not have to wait for proof before you believe. Simply decide who you are, act as if it is already true, and allow the world to adjust accordingly. This is how you shape your destiny, not by fighting against circumstances, but by transcending them altogether. There is great power in silence, not the silence of avoidance or suppression, but the silence of mastery, the kind that refuses to be disturbed by the noise of the world. Most people live in a constant state of reaction, allowing every word, every situation, and every challenge to pull them in different directions. They respond to negativity with more negativity, giving their energy to things that do not serve them. But those who understand true power know that silence speaks louder than any reaction. Energy flows where attention goes. Whatever you engage with, you strengthen. Whatever you fight against, you give power to. This is why reacting to negativity only feeds it, keeping it alive in your experience. When you respond to criticism, you validate it. When you react to disrespect, you acknowledge it as something worthy of your energy. And in doing so, you make it a part of your reality. But when you refuse to engage, when you stand in the knowing that nothing outside of you has power over your inner state, negativity dissolves on its own. Silence is not weakness. It is not submission. It is the highest form of control. It is the ability to choose where your energy flows, rather than allowing the world to dictate it for you. Those who react to everything remain trapped in a cycle of emotional turmoil, constantly pulled away from their true path. But those who remain silent in the face of negativity move forward untouched, allowing higher realities to unfold in their favor. Consider this. When someone insults you, they are offering you their energy, their perception of reality. The moment you respond, you accept their offering, making it your own. But if you remain unmoved, if you do not acknowledge their words as truth, they lose all power over you. The energy returns to its source, and you walk away unaffected. This is why those who master silence are often misunderstood. They appear as though they do not care, as though they are distant or unbothered, and in truth they are. Not because they lack emotions, but because they understand that their emotions are theirs to control. Imagine a fire that burns only when it is fed. Every reaction, every engagement is fuel to keep it alive. The moment you stop feeding it, it dies out. This is how negativity works. It thrives on attention, on resistance, on the energy given to it through reaction. But when you refuse to respond, when you let it pass without allowing it to affect you, it fades away, leaving only clarity and peace in its place. This does not mean you tolerate disrespect or accept mistreatment. It means you do not allow it to dictate your emotions or disrupt your state of being. You move with purpose, focusing only on what elevates you, only on what aligns with your highest self. When you stop reacting, you start directing. Instead of being at the mercy of external events, you become the one who decides where your attention and energy go. And by choosing silence over reaction, you free yourself from the chaos that binds so many. People will always attempt to pull you into their drama, their conflicts, their negativity. They will provoke, challenge, and seek a reaction. But you must remember that their energy is not yours unless you choose to accept it. The moment you withhold your reaction, you take away their power. You remind yourself and the world that you are in control, that your energy belongs to you alone. Choose your silence wisely. Let it be a shield, not an escape. Let it be the foundation of your strength, the space from which your greatest power emerges. For in the absence of reaction, in the quiet confidence of non-engagement, higher realities unfold. Realities where peace, success, and abundance flow effortlessly to those who refuse to be moved by anything less. To create the life you desire, you must learn to live in the end, not in the process. Most people spend their days caught in the middle, wavering between hope and doubt, constantly measuring progress, wondering when their desires will materialize. But those who truly understand the nature of creation do not concern themselves with how or when things will happen. They embody the feeling of their desired outcome as if it has already manifested, knowing that what is assumed to be true must eventually become fact. The mistake many make is believing that their desires exist somewhere in the future, always just out of reach. They look at their current circumstances and feel discouraged when they do not yet see proof of change. They wonder if they are doing enough, if they need to try harder, if they are missing some key step. But all of this is unnecessary. The only thing required is the assumption that what you desire is already yours. The moment you truly accept it within, external reality has no choice but to conform. When you live in the end, you no longer operate from a state of lack. You do not wish for, hope for, or long for something outside of yourself. You do not chase, beg, or wonder when. Instead, you move with the quiet confidence of someone who already possesses what they once desired. You think, feel, and act as if your wish is fulfilled, because in truth it already is. The outer world is simply catching up to your inner reality. The process itself is irrelevant. If you concern yourself with the how, you create resistance. If you react to temporary obstacles, you affirm their power over you. But when you remain unwavering in your assumption, delays and difficulties dissolve before you. They are only illusions, tests of your persistence, reflections of old beliefs that no longer serve you. The moment you stop reacting to them, they lose their influence, and your desired reality unfolds effortlessly. Think of a person who is wealthy. They do not wake up each day wondering if they will have enough money. They do not check their bank account in fear, hoping that abundance will someday arrive. They already know they are wealthy, and so they move through life with ease, making decisions from a place of security and confidence. The same is true for love, success, health, or any other desire. The one who has it does not question it, they simply embody it, and reality reflects their inner knowing. Many allow the absence of their desire to dictate their emotions. They look around and see what is missing, and in doing so, they reinforce the lack. But when you shift your focus away from what is and instead dwell in what will be, you break free from this cycle. You no longer look at appearances for confirmation. You do not need proof because your belief is proof enough. And when your assumption remains firm, the world must shift to align with it. This is why those who succeed often seem to possess an unshakable certainty. They do not dwell in the process, nor do they allow obstacles to shake them. They know that what they seek is already theirs, and so they act accordingly. And because they do not waver, because they do not entertain doubt, their reality bends to their conviction. Living in the end is not pretending or wishful thinking. It is a state of being. It is knowing beyond any doubt that what you have imagined is already set in motion. It is refusing to be moved by appearances, choosing instead to rest in the assurance that all things are unfolding exactly as they should. So stop questioning, stop doubting, stop looking outside of yourself for signs. Assume the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and let everything else take care of itself. Your only job is to remain steadfast in your inner knowing. When you do, the process becomes irrelevant, and what once seemed distant becomes your present reality. You are not a puppet of circumstances. You are not at the mercy of fate, luck, or the ever-changing conditions of the external world. You are the creator, the one who shapes reality according to the assumptions you hold within. The moment you stop allowing external forces to dictate your state of being, you reclaim your power and become the master of your destiny. Most people live as if they are powerless, reacting to life instead of directing it. They believe that their happiness, success, or well-being depends on things outside of them, on the actions of others, on economic conditions, on the approval of society. When things go well, they feel good. When things go wrong, they suffer. They have given their power away, allowing the outer world to determine their inner world. But this is an illusion. Nothing outside of you has control over your state of being unless you permit it. To truly master your reality, you must shift from reaction to creation. You must understand that the world you experience is not happening to you. It is happening through you. Your beliefs, your assumptions, and your dominant thoughts shape the circumstances that unfold around you. If you accept this truth, you can no longer blame outside forces for your condition. Instead, you take full responsibility for your life, knowing that what you experience is a direct reflection of your inner state. Consider two people who face the same setback, perhaps the loss of a job or the end of a relationship. One sees it as a catastrophe, believing they have been dealt an unfair hand. They sink into despair, telling themselves that life is against them. The other sees it as an opportunity, knowing that something greater must be on the way. They hold firm to the belief that all things work in their favor, and as a result, they attract new opportunities that align with their assumption. The event was the same, but the responses created two entirely different realities. This is the key. Circumstances do not define you. Your reaction to them does. The person who believes they are powerless will continue to experience a life of struggle, always feeling like a victim of forces beyond their control. But the one who understands their creative power will rise above any situation, molding it into something beneficial. Detachment from circumstances does not mean ignoring reality. It means refusing to let temporary conditions dictate your state of mind. If you decide that external events have no power over you, they will lose their grip. The person who holds peace within cannot be disturbed by chaos outside. The one who carries wealth in their consciousness will see abundance flow, even if their bank account suggests otherwise. The person who believes in love and fulfillment will attract relationships that reflect their inner certainty. Every great individual who has achieved mastery over life has understood this principle. They do not wait for conditions to be perfect before they feel successful. They do not let temporary hardships convince them that they are failing. They hold their vision with unshakable faith. knowing that the world must eventually conform to their inner reality. You are not a puppet being pulled by the strings of circumstance. You are the one holding the strings. The moment you decide that nothing outside of you can control your emotions, you free yourself from the limitations that keep most people trapped. You step into your role as the creator, shaping reality through your assumptions and your unwavering belief. So stop giving power to what happens around you. Stop allowing the opinions, actions, or conditions of the world to dictate how you feel. Stand firm in the knowing that you are the master of your fate. Choose the reality you wish to experience, embody it fully within, and watch as the world bends to reflect your certainty. Everything you seek begins within. You are not a puppet of circumstances, nor are you at the mercy of external forces. The reality you experience is a reflection of your assumptions, your beliefs, and your unwavering conviction. When you detach from appearances and refuse to react to temporary setbacks, you reclaim your power. When you live in the end, embodying the feeling of your wish fulfilled, the world has no choice but to conform. Mastery over life is not found in effort or struggle, but in the quiet confidence of knowing that what you assume to be true will inevitably manifest. Your inner world shapes your outer world. Detachment is your greatest strength. Silence holds more power than reaction. And when you refuse to let anything outside of you dictate your state of being, you become unstoppable. So walk through life with certainty. Stop questioning, stop doubting, and stop looking for signs. Assume your power, live as if nothing affects you, and let the world rearrange itself to match your inner reality. Thank you. Close your eyes for a moment and ask yourself, if I were already a billionaire, how would I feel? How would I move through the world? What thoughts would occupy my mind? You see, wealth is not a number in a bank account. It is a state of being. The mistake most people make is that they believe they must first acquire riches before they can feel secure, powerful, and free. But the truth is, you must first become the thing you desire within. Only then will the world shape itself around your assumption. Right now, in this very moment, step into the consciousness of a billionaire. Let go of every thought of limitation. Breathe in the feeling of absolute financial freedom. A billionaire does not worry about bills. A billionaire does not chase opportunities. They create them. They walk with an effortless confidence, knowing the world bends to their will. They do not ask, can I afford this? They decide, is this aligned with my vision? Your current circumstances are irrelevant. Wealth is not about effort. It is about identity. If you assume yourself to be wealthy, the world will reflect it back to you in ways you cannot predict. So act as if. Carry yourself with the quiet assurance of one who already possesses immense wealth. Speak as one who commands abundance. Feel the security, the freedom, the joy of having more than enough. Let this feeling consume you and watch as reality conforms to your inner world. Do not wait. You are already it. Wealth is not something external that you must chase, nor is it something that only a few are destined to have. It is, first and foremost, a state of consciousness. The greatest mistake people make is believing that money is the cause of wealth, when, in truth, it is only the effect. The true source of wealth lies in the mind of the individual, in the assumptions they hold about themselves and the world. The external world merely reflects the internal state. If you believe you are lacking, if you constantly affirm that money is hard to come by, then your reality must align with that belief. But if you shift your consciousness to one of abundance, knowing that wealth is already yours, then the outer world will have no choice but to conform to that inner knowing. You must ask yourself, what does it truly mean to be wealthy? Is it the mere possession of money? Or is it the feeling of security, freedom, and limitless opportunity? The one who is wealthy in consciousness walks with a different energy. They move with assurance, knowing that all their needs are met. They do not dwell on fears of financial loss or scarcity, because their sense of abundance does not come from a bank account, but from their unwavering belief in their own prosperity. Look at the way the wealthy think. They do not operate from a place of desperation. They do not see wealth as something to be obtained, but as something they already embody. A billionaire does not wake up in the morning doubting whether they have money. They know it is theirs. Even before they had tangible riches, they carried the consciousness of abundance within them. This is the key. You must first become internally rich before you can ever experience it externally. Most people live in a state of waiting. They say, when I have money, then I will feel successful. When I am rich, then I will act confidently. But this is the very thinking that keeps wealth out of reach. You must reverse this order. Act as if you already possess all the riches you desire. Speak, think, and move through life as one who is already abundant. Feel the security, the confidence, the peace that comes with knowing you are financially free. This feeling is the seed that, when nurtured, blossoms into actual wealth. Do not let your senses deceive you. The world may present temporary evidence of lack, but this is only a reflection of past thinking. If you continue to focus on what appears to be missing, you only reinforce its existence in your life. Instead, shift your attention inward. Dwell in the feeling of already having what you desire. Live in the state of abundance before any physical proof arrives. The moment you accept wealth as your reality within, the world outside must conform. Consider those who have achieved massive wealth. It was never just about their actions. It was their mindset. They saw themselves as creators of wealth, not victims of circumstance. They believed in their ability to generate prosperity, and so it became their reality. Even when faced with failure or temporary setbacks, they remained steadfast in their belief in abundance. This is the difference between those who attain great riches and those who remain in struggle, the assumption they hold about themselves. If you wish to see wealth in your life, begin by cultivating it in your consciousness. Speak only thoughts of prosperity. Align your emotions with the reality you desire. Do not wish for wealth, assume it. Do not seek abundance, embody it. When you fully accept that you are already rich in mind, the outer world will rearrange itself to match that truth. The money, the opportunities, the success, they will all flow naturally to the one who knows beyond any doubt that they are already wealthy. The world around you is nothing more than a reflection of your internal state. Every condition, every experience, every so-called limitation is merely the outpicturing of the assumptions you hold within. If you look upon the world and see lack, it is not because lack truly exists. It is because your mind has been conditioned to perceive it. The mistake most people make is believing that what they see with their eyes is the ultimate reality. They accept their present circumstances as fixed and unchangeable, never realizing that they are the ones creating and sustaining these conditions through their assumptions. Lack is an illusion. It has no power except the power you give it through your belief. If you assume that money is scarce, that opportunities are limited, that success is difficult to attain, then life will continuously present you with evidence to confirm those assumptions. But if you refuse to accept the appearance of lack, and instead persist in the assumption of abundance, your outer world must eventually reflect that new state. You must train yourself to see beyond appearances. The evidence of scarcity that you observe is nothing more than the echo of past thoughts and beliefs. It is not a permanent reality. It is simply a manifestation of old conditioning. If you continue to accept it as true, you only reinforce it. But the moment you withdraw your belief in it, the moment you decide that abundance is your reality, the illusion of lack must begin to dissolve. Think of it this way. When you look in a mirror, you see a reflection of yourself. If you frown, the image frowns back. If you smile, the image smiles. The mirror does not create your expression, it only reflects it. In the same way, the world does not create your state of being, it only mirrors what you assume to be true. If you walk around believing that life is hard, that money is difficult to come by, that success is reserved for others, then the world must reflect those beliefs back to you. But if you adopt the assumption that abundance flows to you effortlessly, that opportunities are always unfolding in your favor, that wealth is already yours, then your external world will begin to mirror those truths instead. Most people live as if they are powerless. They see their circumstances as something happening to them rather than something flowing from them. They react to what they see rather than shaping what they see through their inner world. But you are not a victim of circumstances, you are the creator of them. The moment you accept this truth, you take back your power. You must develop a kind of inner blindness to appearances that do not serve you. If your bank account shows a low balance, do not dwell on it. If opportunities seem scarce, do not accept it as your reality. Instead, fix your mind on the abundance that is already yours in the unseen. Assume that wealth is on its way to you, that doors are opening, that all your needs are already met. Hold to this assumption with unwavering faith, regardless of what the outer world appears to show. The world will test you. It will present obstacles, delays, and situations that seem to contradict your new assumption. This is where most people falter. They see the temporary evidence of lack and allow doubt to creep in. But those who persist in their assumption of abundance, even in the face of seeming scarcity, are the ones who see their reality transform. What you assume to be real will harden into fact. The only question is, what are you assuming? Ignore the illusion of lack. Do not give it power by accepting it as true. See yourself as already abundant, already successful, already in possession of all that you desire. The moment you do, the world will have no choice but to reflect that truth back to you. Reality does not respond to begging, pleading, or wishing. It responds to command. The person who truly understands their creative power does not ask the universe for permission to be wealthy, successful, or fulfilled. They decide. They assume the state of already having what they desire, and they act in alignment with that certainty. This is the difference between those who struggle and those who thrive. One waits for circumstances to change, while the other directs reality itself. A billionaire does not sit around hoping that opportunities will come, or that success will somehow find them. They move with confidence as though the outcome is already assured. They do not doubt, nor do they entertain thoughts of failure. Their mindset is one of certainty, not desperation. They understand that the external world is merely a reflection of their internal assumptions, so they do not allow fear or uncertainty to take root. Instead, they assume that everything they desire is already theirs and they act accordingly. Most people live their lives in a state of waiting. They wait for the right moment, the right opportunity, the right sign before they take action. They tell themselves, if only I had more money, more connections, more experience, then I could be successful. But in doing so, they delay their own success indefinitely. The truth is, you do not need anything external to change before you step into the reality you desire. You need only shift your assumption. The moment you decide that you are already successful, already wealthy, already living the life you desire, everything around you begins to rearrange itself to match that assumption. Look at the way the powerful move through the world. They do not ask for permission. They do not seek validation, they command. They walk into a room with an energy that says, I belong here. They do not shrink, hesitate, or question whether they are worthy. They assume their success and the world responds accordingly. This is not arrogance. It is simply an unshakable belief in their own power. And this same power exists within you. If you wish to experience wealth, you must stop acting like someone who lacks it. You must stop thinking, speaking, and behaving as if you are at the mercy of circumstances. The moment you declare with full conviction that you are already the person you wish to be, you set in motion a series of events that must bring your assumption into reality. The key is to hold firm to this assumption, regardless of what your senses tell you. The world may present temporary evidence that contradicts your new belief, but this is only a reflection of your past assumption. Do not waver, do not fall back into the habit of doubting yourself. If a billionaire loses money, they do not suddenly believe they are poor. They know that wealth is their natural state, and so they easily create it again. They do not panic because their assumption of abundance remains unchanged. This is the level of certainty you must develop. Do not beg for success, do not wish for wealth, do not hope for better circumstances. Decide. Step into the feeling of already having what you desire. Walk, speak, and think as though your success is inevitable. When you do this, the universe must align with your assumption. Reality is not something you passively experience, it is something you command. And the moment you fully embrace this truth, everything you desire will begin to move toward you. If you were already a billionaire, how would you move through the world? Would you hesitate? Would you doubt yourself? Would you shrink in the presence of opportunity? Of course not. You would move with certainty, knowing that success is your natural state. You would not question whether you are deserving. You would assume it as a fact. The way you think, speak, and act would reflect the abundance you already possess. And that is exactly the mindset you must embody now. Most people make the mistake of waiting for external proof before they allow themselves to feel wealthy, confident, or successful. They tell themselves, once I have the money, I'll feel abundant. Once I have the success, I'll feel worthy. But this is entirely backward. You must first assume the state internally, and only then will it manifest externally. Reality is not something you chase, it is something you align with. A billionaire does not move through life in fear of losing what they have. They do not cling to money as if it might disappear. They operate from a place of security and ease, knowing that wealth flows effortlessly to them. They do not doubt whether they can afford something, they assume they can. They do not question whether they deserve luxury, success, or influence. They live as though it is already theirs. Their every action, every word, every thought reinforces the reality they believe in. Now ask yourself, if you were already in possession of everything you desire, how would you behave? Would you carry yourself with confidence? Would you speak with authority? Would you engage with others as an equal rather than feeling inferior? Would you walk into a room knowing that you belong? The answer is obvious. You would move differently, you would think differently, you would embody a different state of being. And if that is how you would act once you have achieved your desires, why wait? Step into that version of yourself now. Your current reality is simply a reflection of past assumptions. If you continue to carry yourself as someone who lacks wealth, success, or opportunity, then life will mirror those beliefs back to you. But the moment you shift your internal state and embody the mindset of one who already has it, the world must adjust accordingly. What you assume to be true eventually solidifies into fact. This is not wishful thinking, it is the law of consciousness. Think of a billionaire's daily habits. They do not waste time dwelling on problems, they focus on solutions. They do not complain about circumstances, they take control of them. They do not operate from a mindset of need, they operate from a mindset of abundance. They are not waiting for permission to succeed, they have already decided that success is theirs. And because they have assumed that state, everything in their reality conforms to it. This is the level of certainty you must develop. You must move through life as though you already have what you desire, not with arrogance, but with quiet, unshakable confidence. When you speak, let your words reflect your belief in your own success. When you make decisions, let them come from a place of certainty, not hesitation. When you interact with others, do so from a position of strength, not need. The moment you start embodying the mindset of one who already has it, you shift into alignment with that reality. Opportunities will arise, doors will open, and people will begin to treat you differently. Not because the world has changed, but because you have. The world can only reflect what you assume to be true. Move now as the person you wish to become, and soon you will no longer be acting, it will be your reality. Gratitude and confidence are the twin forces that unlock the doors of wealth. Most people believe that they must first receive something before they can be grateful for it, but this is not the case. True wealth begins with the unseen before it takes form in the material world. It must first exist in the consciousness of the one who desires it. To receive wealth, you must feel grateful for it before it appears, as if it is already yours. This is the secret that transforms desire into reality. Gratitude is not merely a polite expression of thanks. It is a powerful state of being. It signals to the universe that you have already received what you seek. When you are grateful, you are affirming that what you desire already exists. Even if it is not yet visible to your physical eyes, the world responds to this certainty. Just as a radio must be tuned to the correct frequency to receive a signal, Your consciousness must be tuned to the frequency of abundance before wealth can flow into your life. Gratitude is the signal that tells the universe you are ready to receive. Most people operate from a state of lack. They say, I will be grateful once I have more money, once I have success, once I have the life I desire. But this is a flawed approach. To truly unlock wealth, you must reverse this pattern. You must feel gratitude first before any external evidence appears. You must trust in the unseen, knowing that what you desire is already moving toward you. Confidence is the second key. To manifest wealth, you must not only be grateful for the unseen, but you must also have unshakable confidence that it will appear. Confidence is the unwavering belief that what you desire is already yours. It is the refusal to entertain doubt, no matter what your current circumstances may suggest. The person who commands wealth does not hope or wish. They know. They walk through life with an assurance that their desires are already fulfilled. Consider how a billionaire approaches money. They do not wonder if they will have enough. They do not stress over whether opportunities will come. They move with certainty because they have already assumed abundance as their natural state, and because they embody that state, the world reflects it back to them. You must do the same. Even if your external reality does not yet show signs of wealth, you must remain confident that it is unfolding in ways you cannot yet see. Many people sabotage their own success by constantly questioning whether their desires will ever materialize. They allow fear and doubt to creep in, and as a result, they push their desires further away. But when you hold firm in gratitude and confidence, you accelerate the process. You send a clear signal to the universe. I already have it. I am certain of it. I am grateful for it. And the universe responds in kind. To develop this mindset, begin by shifting your focus. Instead of dwelling on what you lack, train yourself to feel gratitude for what is already on its way. Speak as if it is already done. Walk as if you are already in possession of the life you desire. Do not wait for wealth to appear before you feel grateful. Feel grateful now and wealth will follow. Do not wait for success to come before you feel confident. Embody confidence now and success will find you. Gratitude and confidence are the forces that open every door. They transform the unseen into the seen. They align you with the reality you wish to experience. The moment you adopt this mindset, the world must shift to reflect it. Wealth is not something you chase, it is something you allow. And the way to allow it is through gratitude and unwavering confidence in the unseen. Most people spend their lives fixated on how their desires will manifest. They constantly analyze, strategize, and attempt to control every step of the journey. But this obsession with the how is precisely what keeps them stuck. They believe that if they cannot see the path clearly, then their desire must be far away. But this is an illusion. The path is irrelevant. The when, where, and how do not matter. What matters is your assumption that it is already yours. Wealth is not something you must struggle to obtain. It is something you align with. The moment you assume the feeling of already having it, the way to it is set in motion. You do not need to force it, chase it, or overanalyze it. You simply need to trust in the now, knowing that it is already done. When you truly accept this, you free yourself from worry. You no longer look at your current circumstances and judge them as obstacles. Instead, you understand that everything is unfolding perfectly, even if you cannot yet see the full picture. Consider how nature operates. A seed does not worry about how it will grow into a towering tree. It simply is. It exists in perfect trust that the sun, the rain, and the soil will support its growth. It does not need to understand the details. It simply follows its nature. Your wealth, your success, your desires, they already exist in potential. The only thing required of you is to embody the state of already having them. Many people make the mistake of trying to control the process. They believe they must take specific actions, meet certain people, or be in the right place at the right time. But this kind of thinking comes from doubt. It suggests that they do not fully trust that what they desire is already there. If you truly believed it was already done, would you worry about how it will come? Would you stress over whether it will happen? Of course not. You would simply rest in the certainty that it is unfolding in the perfect way. This is why detachment is essential. Detachment does not mean giving up on your desire. It means releasing the need to control the journey. It means no longer obsessing over when or how it will arrive. It means understanding that once you assume the feeling of already having it, the universe will arrange everything for you. Unexpected opportunities will arise. The right people will be drawn to you. Doors will open effortlessly. But this only happens when you release the need to force it. The person who is truly wealthy in mind does not chase money. They do not spend their days anxiously trying to predict where their next opportunity will come from. They assume wealth, and so it flows to them. They trust in the unseen, and so the unseen takes form. They do not concern themselves with the details because they know that all details are taken care of the moment they shift their consciousness. You must adopt this same mindset. Act as though the wealth you seek is already yours. Speak as though it is done. Move through your day with the confidence of one who already possesses it. And most importantly, release the need to figure out how it will happen. Let life surprise you. Let it unfold in ways beyond what your logical mind can conceive. When you detach from the how and trust in the now, you shift into a state of ease. You no longer struggle because you no longer resist. You no longer seek validation from the outside world because you have already claimed your abundance within. And because you have assumed it internally, it must manifest externally. Wealth is not about chasing, forcing, or analyzing. It is about knowing. It is about trusting. It is about living as though it is already yours, because it is. The moment you accept this, the way will unfold effortlessly before you. Wealth is not something you chase. It is something you embody. It is not found in effort, struggle, or endless planning, but in the deep assumption that it is already yours. The billionaire mindset is not about money. It is about state of being. When you ignore the illusion of lack, command reality rather than beg for it. Move as one who already has it and embrace gratitude with unwavering confidence. You unlock the doors of abundance. Detach from the how and trust in the now. Your wealth is not a distant dream. It exists here and now, waiting for you to claim it. The moment you fully assume this state, life will shift to reflect it. You do not need to force or chase. You simply need to become. And as you do, the world will yield to your inner certainty. Thank you. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine the life you truly desire. Not the life dictated by circumstances, nor the one shaped by fears, but the life your soul yearns for. See it, feel it, live in it. Because the moment you accept it within, it must express itself without. You are not bound by fate, nor are you a victim of chance. You are the creator, the master architect of your reality. Everything you have ever experienced was first accepted in your mind, whether knowingly or unknowingly. Now I tell you, take control of this power. Use it consciously, deliberately, and with absolute certainty. If you wish to manifest wealth, do not wait for the world to confirm it before you believe. Instead, embody the feeling of being financially free. Walk as if you already possess it. Speak as one who has received, and rest in the certainty that it is done. If love is your desire, then become love itself. Feel adored, feel cherished, feel chosen, until the world has no choice but to mirror that truth. The great mistake many make is allowing the outer world to dictate their inner world. They look at their empty bank accounts, their loneliness, their struggles, and they say, this is reality. But reality is not what appears. Reality is what is assumed. Assume differently, and the world will conform. There is no force outside of you deciding your destiny. The only power is within. Your desires are not random. They are divine whispers of what is already yours. Your task is to align with them, to dwell in their fulfillment before the senses confirm it. Dare to believe that your dream life is not only possible, but inevitable. Speak it into existence. Feel it with every fiber of your being. And then, relax. It will unfold in ways beyond your comprehension. Hold no doubt, entertain no fear, and watch as the unseen becomes seen. The imagined becomes real. This is how you manifest your dream life. The life you are living right now is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world, the sum total of your past thoughts, assumptions, and beliefs. The external world is not separate from you. It is a mirror, faithfully projecting what you hold within. If you wish to change the conditions of your life, you must first change the landscape of your imagination, for imagination is the source of all creation. Everything you see around you, your relationships, your financial situation, your health, your experiences, began as an unseen idea. Before anything manifests in the physical world, it first exists in the realm of thought. The house you live in was once a blueprint. The job you hold was once an aspiration. Even the relationships you have were first formed in your mind through the beliefs you carried about love, connection, and self-worth. Nothing appears by accident. Everything is drawn to you based on the assumptions you consistently hold. If you desire a better life, you must begin by imagining it. This does not mean mere wishful thinking, nor does it mean daydreaming idly without conviction. True imagination requires that you immerse yourself in the experience of already having what you seek. Feel it as if it were real. Touch it in your mind. Smell the air in that reality. Hear the sounds, and most importantly, dwell in the emotions of fulfillment. The subconscious mind does not distinguish between what is real and what is imagined. It simply accepts what you persistently feed it and brings it forth into your experience. Many people believe they are bound by circumstances, trapped in the conditions life has placed upon them. But circumstances are merely the echoes of past thoughts. They have no power except the power you continue to give them. If you constantly observe your current reality and allow it to dictate how you feel, you will remain stuck in an endless loop, repeating the same experiences over and over again. To break free, you must turn inward, away from what the senses show you, and instead hold steadfastly to the vision of what you wish to be. Consider for a moment those who have risen from nothing to greatness. The common thread among them is not luck, nor external opportunity, but an unshakable belief in what was yet unseen. They lived in the assumption of their desired state long before the world reflected it back to them. They ignored the doubters, the lack of evidence, and even the failures that arose along the way. They understood that reality must conform to the dominant images they held in their minds. Doubt is the greatest enemy of creation. The moment you entertain disbelief, you undo the work of your imagination. The world responds to certainty. If you imagine a future filled with abundance but continue to indulge in thoughts of scarcity, you cancel out your vision. If you wish to manifest love but persist in feeling unworthy, the world will reflect that belief back to you. It is not enough to simply think positively for a moment. You must dwell in the feeling of your wish fulfilled as if it were already fact. This is not a process of forcing reality to change, nor is it about manipulating external conditions. It is about realizing that reality itself is fluid, constantly shaped by the impressions you impress upon it. When you become unwavering in your assumption, the world has no choice but to conform. It must take the shape of the dominant images you hold within. So begin now. Do not wait for conditions to change before you allow yourself to feel different. Change how you see yourself in your mind, and everything else will shift accordingly. Walk in the assumption that you are already the person you desire to be. Let that version of you become so real in your imagination that it becomes undeniable. When you persist in this state, when you refuse to entertain anything contrary, the world will bend to meet you. What once seemed impossible will unfold effortlessly before you. Everything begins within. The key to your ideal life is already in your hands. Imagine it, believe it, live in it, and soon you will see it reflected back to you. The greatest mistake people make when seeking to change their lives is waiting for the external world to confirm their desires before they believe in them. They look for signs, for validation, for evidence that what they want is on its way. But this approach only reinforces the absence of what is desired. The key to manifesting anything is to live in the end, to assume the feeling of the wish fulfilled, to act as though it is already yours. This is not a mental trick or a game of pretending. It is the fundamental law of creation. When you hold a desire in your heart, it is not something separate from you. It is a possibility that already exists, waiting for you to claim it. The only reason it has not yet appeared in your world is because you are still entertaining thoughts of lack, of waiting, of uncertainty. The moment you step fully into the reality where your wish is already fulfilled, the outer world must shift to reflect that assumption. The law is simple. What you persistently assume to be true must harden into fact. To live in the end means to stop seeing yourself as someone who is waiting, hoping, or striving. Instead, it requires you to embody the state of already having what you desire. If you wish for love, you must feel loved now. If you desire success, you must carry yourself as one who is already successful. If health is your goal, then feel the vitality of a healed body even before any physical change occurs. Do not wait for the outer world to give you permission. Grant it to yourself first. This process is not about forcing things to happen, but about aligning yourself with the reality where they have already happened. Everything in this world is a reflection of your internal state. When you hold a persistent assumption, reality bends to match it. This is why those who are truly confident seem to attract opportunities effortlessly, why those who feel wealthy find themselves receiving more, and why those who assume love flows to them experience relationships that flourish. They do not wait for circumstances to change. They change within, and the world follows. Doubt and impatience are the greatest obstacles to this practice. The moment you look at your current reality and say nothing is happening, you are reaffirming that your wish is not yet fulfilled. The subconscious mind takes that as an instruction and continues to project a reality where your desire remains distant. Instead, you must persist in the assumption that it is already done, even when the senses tell you otherwise. You must trust the unseen, knowing that what you assume with feeling and conviction will soon be made visible. Consider how you would think, speak, and act if your desire had already manifested. Would you worry about it? Would you doubt? Or would you feel the peace and certainty of someone who already possesses what they once longed for? Step into that version of yourself now. Let every thought, every emotion, and every action reflect that state. This is not about pretending or acting falsely. It is about shifting into the reality where your wish is already true. When you live in the end, you eliminate struggle. You no longer seek, chase, or beg for what you want because you already have it. The need to force things disappears, replaced by a calm knowing that all is unfolding as it should. You are no longer a person hoping for change. You are the embodiment of that change. And when you hold this state unwaveringly, reality has no choice but to rearrange itself to match your inner world. This is how all great transformations occur. It is how the impossible becomes possible. The world will always conform to your most deeply held assumptions. Assume wisely, persist with confidence, and soon you will find yourself living the very life you once only dreamed of. The greatest illusion in life is the belief that external circumstances have power over you. The world you see, the events unfolding before you, and the conditions you experience are nothing more than reflections of past thoughts, past beliefs, and past assumptions. They hold no real authority, no true permanence. The only thing that truly matters is what you hold within, for it is from within that all things are created. Too often people allow what they see to dictate how they feel. If the bank account is low, they feel poor. If their relationships are in turmoil, they feel unloved. If they face obstacles, they assume failure is near. But this way of thinking is backwards. Reality is not something to react to, it is something to shape. The moment you allow the outer world to control your inner state, you surrender your creative power and lock yourself into a cycle where the same unwanted conditions repeat endlessly. The secret to true transformation is to ignore the present reality when it contradicts your desires. This does not mean pretending problems do not exist, nor does it mean living in denial. It means understanding that what you see now is simply the result of old assumptions playing out. If you focus on them, if you give them energy, you reinforce them. But if you instead turn inward, if you hold steadfastly to the vision of what you wish to experience, the world must eventually conform. Imagine you are watching a movie, but you dislike the scene in front of you. Would you sit there and argue with the screen? Would you try to change the movie by interacting with the images in front of you? No, because you understand that the images are coming from a source, the film that is being projected. If you wish to change the scene, you must change the film. In the same way, if you wish to change your life, you must change the assumptions you carry within. Your only job is to focus on the reality you desire and persist in it mentally, regardless of what the outer world shows you. This is the test of faith, the challenge that so many fail. They begin to imagine a better life, but the moment they see no immediate change, they waver. They look to the world for proof instead of realizing that the world is the effect, not the cause. The cause is always within. When you refuse to be moved by circumstances, you reclaim your power. If the world presents you with evidence that contradicts your vision, do not accept it as final. Smile, knowing that it is merely a shadow of past thoughts. It holds no weight, no real substance. You are the creator, and the moment you assume a new reality internally, the outer world begins to shift. This is why those who succeed in life are often described as having unshakable belief. They do not allow temporary setbacks to define them. They do not let failure discourage them. They know that their inner conviction is the true reality, and as long as they persist in it, the outer world must eventually align. Every great transformation begins within. The person who rises from poverty to wealth first sees themselves as abundant before any money appears. The person who finds deep love first feels loved within before they meet their partner. The person who overcomes illness first assumes the feeling of perfect health before their body reflects it. This is the law of life. What you hold within must manifest without. So do not be fooled by what the senses show you. Do not let appearances shake your faith. Keep your vision alive within you, unwavering and undisturbed. Hold the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and know that what you seek is already yours. The world will eventually yield, for it is nothing more than a reflection of the reality you have chosen to believe in. Many believe that manifesting their desires is simply a matter of thinking the right thoughts, repeating affirmations, or visualizing their goals. But the true key, the force that turns thought into reality, is feeling. Feeling is the bridge between the unseen and the seen, between imagination and physical manifestation. Without feeling, a thought remains lifeless, a mere idea with no creative power. It is only when emotion is infused into a desire that it begins to take form in the outer world. Everything you see around you, your successes, your struggles, your relationships, your financial state, is a direct reflection of the feelings you have habitually entertained. If you examine your life closely, you will see that what has consistently shown up is not necessarily what you have thought about, but what you have felt to be true. Thoughts may pass through the mind like fleeting clouds, but feelings settle, take root, and shape the reality you experience. The reason feeling is so powerful is that it signals to the subconscious mind that something is real. The subconscious does not distinguish between what is physically present and what is vividly imagined with emotion. When you generate the feeling of already having your desire, your subconscious accepts it as fact and begins to reorganize your world to match that state. It influences your actions, your perceptions, and even external events in ways that lead to the fulfillment of your assumption. Consider for a moment how different emotions shape your experiences. When you feel anxious, does life not seem to present more reasons to worry? When you feel deeply loved, do you not find that people treat you with more kindness and affection? The outer world is always responding to your inner state. This is why it is not enough to simply say, "I am wealthy" or "I am loved." You must feel the truth of these statements within you. You must let the emotions of already having what you want flood your being. To manifest successfully, you must practice the art of living in the feeling of your wish fulfilled. This means stepping beyond mere words and immersing yourself in the emotional reality of your desire. If you long for abundance, do not just say, "I am rich." Instead, feel the security, the freedom, the joy of already having wealth. If you seek love, do not just say, "I am in a loving relationship." Instead, feel the warmth, the connection, the happiness of already being deeply cherished. Let these emotions take over your being until they become more real to you than your current circumstances. This is not about forcing emotions or pretending to feel something you do not. It is about shifting your focus in such a way that the desired feeling naturally arises. When you close your eyes and imagine holding the keys to your dream home, when you hear the laughter of a loved one in your mind, when you walk as though success is already yours, you create a powerful emotional state that signals to your subconscious, "This is my reality." Doubt, worry, and fear only arise when you feel separate from your desire. They indicate that you are still living in a state of lack. But the moment you move into the feeling of already having what you want, those negative emotions dissolve. There is no need to hope, to beg, or to chase. You are already there. The world does not respond to what you say. It responds to what you feel deeply and consistently. Feeling is the secret ingredient that brings thoughts to life. When you master your inner emotions, you master your reality. Therefore, do not wait for the outer world to give you permission to feel happy, secure, or successful. Feel it now, and the world will have no choice but to reflect it back to you. The greatest test of faith is not in the imagining of a better life, but in the persistence to hold that vision regardless of what the senses show. Many begin with excitement, envisioning their desires, affirming their new reality, and feeling the emotions of having already received it. But when the outer world does not immediately shift, doubt creeps in. They look for signs, they search for proof, and when they do not see it, they abandon the vision. This is where most fail. They let circumstances dictate their belief instead of standing firm in the knowledge that their assumption must harden into fact. Persistence is the bridge between the unseen and the seen. It is the force that turns possibility into certainty. When you hold on to an idea with unwavering conviction, refusing to accept anything contrary, the world has no choice but to conform. This is the law of consciousness. What you consistently assume to be true must eventually be reflected in your reality. Think of the process like planting a seed. When a gardener plants a seed, they do not dig it up every day to check if it is growing. They trust the process, knowing that beneath the soil something is happening, even if they cannot yet see it. They water it, nurture it, and allow it the time it needs to break through the surface. The same is true for your desires. Once you have assumed the feeling of your wish fulfilled, you must persist in that state, knowing that your reality is shifting beneath the surface, even if the changes are not immediately visible. Most people make the mistake of letting appearances dictate their beliefs. If the bank account still shows a low balance, they assume they are still struggling. If love has not yet arrived, they assume they are still alone. They react to the outer world instead of creating from within. But the key to true manifestation is to remain unmoved by what the senses report. You must see beyond what is and fix your attention on what you have chosen to experience. Consider those who achieve greatness in any field. The successful entrepreneur does not abandon their vision at the first sign of failure. The athlete does not stop training after one defeat. The artist does not give up because the world has not yet recognized their talent. What separates those who succeed from those who do not is persistence. The ability to hold on to an inner reality even when the outer world has not yet caught up. Your current circumstances are simply a reflection of past thoughts and beliefs. They have no power over you unless you accept them as permanent. If you wish to change them, you must refuse to be influenced by them. Instead, persist in the assumption that your desire is already fulfilled. If doubt arises, return to the feeling of having already received what you seek. If fear creeps in, remind yourself that the world must bend to the persistence of your imagination. Every great transformation requires endurance. There will be moments when the outer world seems unchanged, when nothing appears to be happening, when the temptation to give up feels overwhelming. But these are the moments when persistence matters most. If you hold fast to your assumption, if you refuse to waver, reality must shift to match your conviction. The world does not respond to fleeting wishes or momentary desires. It responds to those who persist, who remain steadfast in their assumption, despite all evidence to the contrary. Do not look for proof, become the proof. Live in the certainty that what you have claimed is already yours, and in time the world will reflect it back to you. The difference between success and failure, between fulfillment and frustration, is not found in effort alone, it is found in faith. Faith is the unwavering conviction that what you have imagined is already yours, that the unseen is more real than the seen. Doubt, on the other hand, is the great destroyer. It introduces hesitation, delays, and contradictions. Every time you doubt, you undo the progress already made. But when you move with absolute faith, you accelerate the process, allowing what you seek to unfold effortlessly in your life. Most people live according to what their senses tell them. They look at their current reality and decide what is possible based on what they see. But true creation does not work that way. Everything that now exists, every building, every invention, every breakthrough, was once unseen, held only in the imagination of those who refuse to doubt. Faith is the ability to persist in the unseen until it becomes seen. It is the certainty that what you desire is already done, even before any physical evidence appears. Doubt arises when we let the outer world dictate our beliefs. You set an intention, but when you see no immediate change, you begin to question whether it will happen. You wonder if you are doing something wrong, if you need to try harder, if the universe has forgotten you. This wavering weakens your manifestation. It is like planting a seed and then digging it up every day to check if it is growing. The seed needs time, nourishment, and faith to break through the surface. Similarly, your desires need unwavering belief to unfold. Faith is not passive. It is an active state of knowing. It is not hoping, wishing, or waiting. It is the certainty that what you seek is already yours. When you walk in faith, you no longer seek external reassurance. You do not need signs because you already know the outcome. You do not look to circumstances to validate your belief because your belief is what creates circumstances. The moment you shift from doubt to faith, you step into a new reality. Your actions change, your energy changes, your very being aligns with what you desire. When you act as though your wish is already fulfilled, the world has no choice but to reorganize itself to match your conviction. This is why faith accelerates while doubt delays. Faith moves with certainty, allowing things to manifest smoothly and swiftly. Doubt hesitates, questions, and contradicts, keeping the desire just out of reach. If you find yourself struggling with doubt, shift your focus inward. Ask yourself, what would it feel like if I already had what I wanted? Instead of worrying about how or when it will happen, immerse yourself in the feeling of fulfillment. Live in that state and soon the outer world will reflect it. Faith is a discipline. It is the refusal to entertain opposing thoughts. It is the decision to trust in the unseen more than the seen. It is knowing that the moment you accept your desire as real, the universe begins moving to bring it into form. Every great achievement, every miraculous shift has come from someone who chose faith over doubt. Let go of the need to control or question. Surrender to the certainty that it is done. Walk with the confidence of one who already possesses their desire, and as you do, you will watch in amazement as your world transforms to match your inner conviction. Faith does not just move mountains, it dissolves them completely, revealing the path that was always meant to be yours. Everything you desire already exists within you. The power to manifest your dream life is not in effort, struggle, or waiting. It is in your ability to imagine, feel, and persist. Your imagination creates reality, and what you assume to be true will inevitably become your experience. Live in the end, embodying the feeling of your wish fulfilled, and do not let external circumstances shake your belief. Ignore the outer world, for it is only a reflection of past assumptions. What matters is the inner vision you hold now. Feeling is the secret that bridges the unseen and the seen. The emotions you cultivate while imagining your desires determine how quickly they manifest. Persist in your assumption, knowing that the world will shift to match your unwavering belief. Faith is the key. Doubt only delays what is already yours. Trust in the unseen, walk with the certainty that your desires are already fulfilled, and watch as reality bends to your conviction. You are the creator of your experience. There is no force outside of you determining your fate, only the assumptions you persist in. Choose them wisely, live in alignment with your highest vision, and your world must transform to reflect it. Thank you.